Daniel Craig returns as Benoit Blanc to solve yet another murder mystery in Knives Out, Wake Up Dead Man. And my initial impressions of the movie is that it is good. Coming in at 95% on the tomato meter. Wow. Daniel Craig here as Benoit Blanc. This is one of those series, when you watch this, you'll be like, I want more. I want to watch more, because just watching this cast, this new cast, interact with Benoit Blanc and try to fool him, and it's ultimately a whodunit case of like, who's the murderer here and what's really going on. He once again puts together a great cast with Josh O'Connor, Daniel Craig, Glenn Close, Josh Brolin, Mila Kunis, Jeremy Renner, Kerry Washington, Andrew Scott, Kaylee Spaney, Thomas Hayden Church, and Jeffrey Wright. And this is the thing about these Knives Out movies, is that it's always been about the cast and how Rian Johnson just seems to know how to pull the best out of people. Now, this movie is a little bit different than the other movies. This is not quite as flashy as, say, Glass Onion was, where it looked like they had a little bit more in the production values. But it's also just another great mystery where you try to figure out, okay, who is everybody? What's all involved here in this particular case? But you have to know that it's a little bit different in tone. And a lot of it has to do with that runtime. The runtime of this movie clocks in just around the 2 hour and 24-minute mark. And it takes a little bit more time for Rian to set things up for us. He wants to set the stage properly because he wants to make sure that we're invested with these new characters. And the standout here is Josh O'Connor. He plays this young priest that comes into this new parish, and it's just like, okay, something weird is going on with these characters. I don't quite understand it, but there seems to be something awry. And then all of a sudden, Josh Brolin ends up dead. So it's one of those movies where it's trying to trick you with political satire, different spins on what religion is and stuff. And Rian Johnson is smart in using those tropes, because where you would just be like, oh, I don't know if I want to be having this in this movie. If Rian Johnson's smart enough to say, okay, I know this too, but I'm going to use this angle to try to throw you off the scent, because you are with Daniel Craig here as Benoit Blanc. You are with him always, right? There's something about him when he's on the screen that you're just locked into what he's doing, and you're trying to look for the clues as to, well, who really is behind all of this. And it's just awesome. And it's just one of those movies where it's like, okay, it took a while to get in, 2 hours and 24 minutes, but once you're in, you're in. And you're just wanting to figure out how this all goes. And it's another great addition to this franchise, because he once again puts the spin on it where it's like, just when you think you got this all figured out, it's got a twist where it's like, I wasn't expecting that. This is refreshing now. This is totally new. I'm enjoying Wake Up Dead Man. So with that being said, let's go over to my score sheet and start filling in some numbers here, and then we'll go back to the tomato meter and take a look at what some of the critics are saying. Acting, directing, and story are out of a possible 2 points each. Cinematography and score are out of 1 point. So acting, I'm going to give a full 2 points. Easy, because of the ensemble. Daniel Craig's good. Glenn Close is good. And you know what? This is the thing about these movies, is that even though that somebody may have a smaller role like a Jeremy Renner, he showcases his acting talents with the little material that he has. And then it's cool to see that bounce off the main actors. Like, that's the beauty of these movies. And Josh O'Connor here is also fantastic. Daniel Craig is fantastic. Directing. The technical aspects are handled very well. It's well shot. There's really good use of shadow in this movie. If you heard me talk about this before, not everything has to be perfectly lit, and there's some really difficult shots to pull off with the use of shadow, where color grading has to be matched. White balance has to be matched, because we see light come in through the window and change the illumination of people's faces, which was just, okay. Well done, Rian Johnson. And then the story. The story is also really good. I have to knock down a little bit of the directing here because of the pacing, though, of the story. I may appreciate it better upon a second viewing, but it's a much smaller, confined story than Glass Onion, right? It's all in these small locations, which is fine because if you heard me do reviews before, you've heard me say just put the camera on and have the actors do their scene in the rooms. And that's sort of what you're getting here because you got a few locations like the inside of the church and places like that, right? So 1.5, I reserve the right to come back to it though. Cinematography, I am going to give a full 2 points as well, a full point, sorry, because it's well shot. Score is serviceable. So we're sitting at 6.5 right now. And the story is good. The story is it's really good. I'm gonna give the story a full 2 points, right there. But I gotta knock the directing as well as executed as it was. Could there have been a few things that could have been chopped out? I don't know. And maybe I need a second viewing on that to give it a full point. So a full 2 points. So we're sitting at 7 out of 10 right now. Let's go back to the tomato meter and take a look at what people are saying about Wake Up Dead Man and Knives Out Mystery. Because 95% is high. It really is high. And it is good. It is really good. LA Times, Amy Nicholson says, it does seem like this impassioned crowd pleaser is asking how many Christians would recognize Jesus if he walked among us today, and if today's church would still thank their Savior for purging it of scoundrels. And that's what I mean. Okay, so that's what I'm talking about when we're talking about using religious angles, a little bit of a political angle in there that he's using. Because if you saw the trailers, Josh Brolin is the main priest who calls himself, refers to himself in the third person. Okay, so you know what's going on with that, right? You know what he's trying to do here. Rian Johnson's delectable new Knives Out film is a chocolate box, mouth-wateringly delicious on the first layer and perfectly tasty on the second. Yeah, it's one of those movies where I would watch it again, and in fact, when it comes out on Netflix, maybe we will do an full live watch along. Let's go down to the audience here and see what people are saying. Another wonderfully well-told, beautifully shot, and amazingly acted mystery from Rian Johnson. It might be the best one so far. You know, I thought I could rank these movies. I really did. Because for the longest time, I thought I liked Glass Onion as my favorite. But then I just rewatched the first one again, and that one is so well done. It's hard to pick favorites in these ones. And what I appreciate about this one is that it's so different tonally. It's just another type of murder mystery, but it's just so well done. And it's like hard to rank it. It really does feel like almost like a different genre of film than what Glass Onion was. Kim says, the best of the three, really enjoyed it, and we'll see it again. Zachary, whodunnit are back, an incredible story of a cult leader who preys on his following looking for material wealth while preaching about eternal wealth. Yeah, a character study on how the church deals with all that kind of stuff. So for the most part, people are echoing what I have been saying. And I think 95% is going to be, I think the audience score is going to end up somewhat close to that as well. It's going to be in the high 80s at least. I think people are going to come out of this going, yeah, no, I dig what's going on here. One last critic here I wanted to pull up was Matt Donato that says, the cast is aces, the laughs are there, but best of all, Wake Up Dead Man charts its own course through murk and malcontent, a wonderfully gloomy Benoit Blanc caper. Gloomy. That's an interesting term to attach to this, because there is something gloomy in here about this, but there's also humor in here, guys, because there is a bit of a cultish angle, but it's also a dark film. It's raining some of the times, and our main character this time around is a priest that comes from a troubled background, and as you see that he's fighting with his personal demons, he's gonna also stand the accusation that he might have murdered the other priest to ascend to power or something like that. It's just, there's a lot going on in this film, but you don't feel like you are losing the ability to figure it out. It's given to you in doses where you can manage it, right? And then you really have to be paying attention if you want to try to solve this one. You really have to be paying attention. So, with that being said, I liked it. Let's wrap up my score sheet here for Wake Up Dead Man. Watchability factors out of a possible 2 points, and I would simply say that I would watch this one again. And that's 8.5 right there. And I kind of own it since I do have my Netflix subscription. So 9 out of 10 for Wake Up Dead Man. I feel good about that one. Yeah. 9 out of 10. Wake Up Dead Man. What did you guys think? Let me know in the comments below, and we will talk about it. You're watching Mirror Domains.